Pandarinath Maharaj ki Jai. Namdev Tukaram Janabai Tukaram.
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 Akanati Minasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Asmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Gata Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gopavati Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari Sapnasute Devi Pranamami Hari
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Do Saraswati, sim? Yakundendu Tusharadhara Varanda, Yashu Pravastra Vida, Yavina Varadanda Manditakara, Yashveta Padmasana, Yabrahma Chuta Shankara Prabhitipi, Devi Sada Vandita, Sadam Patu Saraswati Bhavati, Bodhi Pradam Sharade, Bodhi Pradam Sharade. Jai Gurudev, everyone.
So Jai Gurudev, welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Now most of you know Aaradhakananda from his immense presence at the ashram, and considering Guruji's love of music, you've just been the perfect devotional music director to bring in, because you do everything. Aaradhaka is in charge of all the training, the materials, the bhajans, the kirtans, like you name it, he's the guy. So welcome. And I'm going to let you start from the start. I think a lot of people don't know where you originated and what your life was before Guruji.
So I have to disagree a little bit with your introduction, because I'm not the guy for everything. I just have a good team. For example, Kanaka here.
True.
And some music coordinators are even here in the meeting. It's very nice.
Oh,
So
nice.
basically, so my name is Aaradhakananda, and I am with Guruji since 2011. So it makes this year beautiful 10 years. It's my 10 years jubilee with Guruji. It's going to be actually in September. So it's not yet full 10 years. And when I met Guruji, I was already, let's say, in the spiritual field and anyway, making music, because my family, I'm a musician's family. I actually never ever did any kind of other work or service which was not directly to music. I can literally count on my fingers whatever I did in my life that was not music, job-wise. For one day, I sold ice cream in a market in Germany, and that was it. And then I fought with the boss because he was really bad, because I could barely speak German also. And the next day I had a little concert, and it would pay 10 times more than the ice cream stand. So I never came back to him. And also in the ashram, like my first months here, I would of course do some facility seva. I was like cutting wood for one day, another day cleaning snow. And apart from that, I have no remembrance of anything else that was not related to kirtan and music. Or sometimes with the saints and the devotional activities like the temple and the church and everything that's connected to devotion and singing God's name. So that was naturally what I've been doing. And I can see clearly that Guruji kind of prepared me, he literally prepared me for this role. Normally I don't like to say it because it sounds like, okay, like he's the perfect person that's gonna do it forever. I'm very aware that everything is Guruji's hands and he can change anything in a split second. But he clearly prepared me for this role with all the interest I always had of playing different instruments, not only concentrating on one instrument, and experiences in performance and in teaching, and at the same time leading a spiritual life. So when I met Guruji, I had already enough in my luggage that I could really straight away be, let's say, useful in a practical way as well. So I remember the first time actually that I served him with music outside the ashram was by mistake, by the grace of Swami Tulsidas, by that time Rishi Tulsidas, because I was making music in the ashram, but I was living outside and having a normal job. So I was doing as much seva as I could, and I was helping in the music coordination here of the ashram. But I didn't have a full seva here yet. So I was music teacher and playing outside and here as much as I could. And Tulsidas wrote me, asking me, begging me to help him. It's like, can you help me with music? I'm going to Lanzarote, the Spanish island, alone, and I cannot sing anything. So what he meant was that I teach him some bhajans. What I understood is that, can I take a plane and go to Spain and be there helping in case they need anything? So that's how I understood it. Was really not what he meant. And then that time I got Guruji's phone already. So I messaged Guruji straight away and said, Guruji, Tulsidas is asking if I can go and help in the retreat in Spain. He said, oh, that's nice. Please come. You can stay with us in the house. And then 5 minutes later, I called Tulsidas again and said, look, your idea was perfect. Guruji said, it's nice. I'm coming along. He said, that's not at all what I meant, but it's great. And that was then the first time I traveled with Guruji for music. For bhajan, for devotional music. And since then, it never stopped. Yeah. That was actually in 2013.
So is that what triggered you being made the coordinator? Was that trip sort of pivotal for?
It's a bit blurry in my mind, the timeline, to be honest. Very close to this time, I became already the international music coordinator right after Dharmananda passed away. Dharmananda was the previous international coordinator of Bhakti Marga, and he was, as most of the people know, he was a horn player in the Bonn Orchestra. He was literally a worldwide praised horn player, like French horn, in the Beethoven Orchestra.
Wow.
And then he passed away, and I actually got close to him in the past month, only in the last months of his life. I became actually his friend. And then when he passed away, then I've been asked to take over that seva, and I took it happily. But it's a bit blurry in my mind. I know it was summer 2013, but what came first, this trip or or this request? I actually don't remember exactly. It's been too long ago.
Well, I'm sure the whole last 10 years is a bit of a blur. I mean, you've just been nonstop traveling and orchestrating. So when Guruji first proposed the idea of the Just Love Festival, you were the one put in charge of gathering the musicians, right?
Yes, that was, Guruji was playing with the Just Love Festival since 2000, actually since the end of 2013. He's been saying he wants a big Kirtan festival. But Guruji, in his funny way, sometimes he makes everything always perfect. So he was teasing it in 2013 and pushing us to organize and to make contact. But then he said, okay, not this year, next year. But we got already a certain structure prepared. Next year, we got a bit further prepared. And then he again said, no, not this year, next year. And in the beginning of 2015, I remember I was talking to some Swamis, and we realized, this is 2015, Bhakti Marga is becoming 10 years. So we have to make a big festival. So we came to Guruji and said, I think Guruji, your Kirtan festival has to happen now. And we celebrate 10 years of Bhakti Marga. So that's how we did the first Just Love Festival. It didn't call Just Love Festival yet. It was the Bhakti Marga 10 years anniversary. And 3 days of non-stop Kirtan. In that time, apart from one guest called Bito Malik from Vrindavan, who now lives in Russia, all the other bands were Bhakti Marga bands. So we had 3 days of, and we had more or less 1,000 guests, was already like huge for us. And that was the first Just Love Festival. So the second year we officially took the Just Love Festival name, and we made it more outside artists the most we could, balanced with Bhakti Marga artists. And it's really, for us, it's seen, of course, together with Guru Purnima and Guru's birthday, but it's like the climax of the whole year. You know? It's where everybody has to be happy and has to go crazy in joy, singing God's name. So that's the aim of the Just Love Festival. That's the attitude you have for it. But I'm not the Just Love main organizer. I'm always in charge of the music, but working with the main organizer, because it's logistically it's very big.
Yeah. But I was just overwhelmed with it when I finally experienced it for the first time, because you're pretty much on stage the whole time. You're sort of the backup band for anyone who doesn't have a backup.
Less and less. As Bhakti Marga grows, I make myself less. But I really, in the first 2 years, I really was supporting like 80% of the bands, because we didn't have musicians enough to make all the bands complete. We have so many talented people, but not complete bands. So sometimes I even had to play mridanga and this and that, and we had to like find our ways just to make the bands complete. You know?
Yes.
And as it grows, I'm happy to sit more and more behind, more and more back, and do 1-2 acts and with other people.
Now, I thought I heard you say at one point that you had actually come to Europe to study, was it jazz guitar with somebody? So you were born in Brazil, but then you had moved to Europe.
That's right. Yeah. 2007, I came to Europe to study jazz. And then I studied to the end. Actually, I got my diploma, and the next month I became brahmachari.
Oh. Now,
it reminds me of the story of Swami Keshava. Swami Keshava finished the basic school. In Germany, it's called Abitur. So it's like the final school exam. Next month, he became a Swami.
I tell you, when it's fast, it's fast.
Yeah, we're just literally waiting for him to finish basic school.
The bare minimum. Well, it's pretty astonishing, you know, just from what I've seen around the world of ashrams, the young Sangha that Guruji has created around himself. You know, to see so many young men take this path is really quite remarkable in this day and age.
That's right. And happily, Kirtan and devotional music has a lot to do with it, because it's what attracts most of the young people in the first place. Like when it's not directly Guruji's magic, of course, 80% of Bhakti Marga devotees come just because Guruji is Guruji.
Right.
We are not like, that's how the organization works, and we are so lucky that it is like this. It's not because of people read this book, or because like Kirtan, or because it's just because almost everybody had a direct experience with Guruji. And nowadays, things are expanding that far, that his teachings, so Kirtan is one of his teachings, so his teachings reach far and wide, and people then first have contacts with some of his teachings and eventually have a direct contact with him. So that's how
Yes.
I'm going. But I'm from a time where everything was really, really basic. It was very sweet. Like I didn't get that's from my perspective. There was even a time before where things was even more basic. But I remember, for example, traveling with Guruji to many, many countries for the very first time for darshan. Like Latvia, Lithuania, Lithuania, Hungary, Singapore, many places of, I don't know, Brazil itself, like and like literally in certain events back in the days, I had to organize the music, and sometimes I had to do the sound and the audio.
Oh no, you were your own roadie.
Sometimes there were events with 100 people. and there was like, we write the emails to the country coordination, say we need this, we need that. They say nice. When we reach there, I said, oh, it was too expensive, or we don't have all of that. We have that speaker there. A devotee said they have a nice material, and then the nice material is literally one amateur speaker with 2 microphones.
Oh, no.
And then I have to be playing harmonium and running to the mixing desk and coming back while Guruji.
Oh, no.
I remember once in Brazil, Guruji was singing a very beautiful bhajan, and I had like my old friends that were not devotees at all making a nice band for Guruji, and they were there all enchanted by Guruji singing, but Guruji's voice was too low. And I look at my mom, who is a classical musician, never touched any piece of technique in music, like, and I say, Mom, there is the master level. Can you put it up a little bit? And then she literally, a little bit was literally 50% of the button. And it was such a feedback in the event that everybody was there for 10 minutes. That's the sweetness of the first of the old days, you know. Everything nowadays is very professional. In the same hall, for example, after Guruji gave darshan, then my mom was organizing Om chanting. Some weeks later, and almost everybody in that Om chanting was not in the darshan, but they were attracted by the event.
Mm.
And after the Om chanting, somebody asked my mom, they told my mom, like, I had a very weird vision doing this Om chanting. I saw on that corner of the room a brown guy with orange clothes standing, and he had free hair. And the place where this random person saw Guruji standing was exactly the place where his chair was doing the darshan 1 month before.
Oh, wow.
Something that Guruji told me years ago, that he said, when he goes to a place, this place is never empty. He said, every time he goes somewhere, he always leaves something there. So a certain presence of himself stays there forever.
I believe it, because he's traveling more than I've ever seen a guru travel. And so it makes sense that he would be energizing every single place.
And he's also bringing up ancient praying places where the energy has become dormant because of lack of prayers, lack of activities. And that's what he directly told me. Like, he has to go to places which are power points on planet Earth to reactivate the energy.
Oh, wow.
Not only temples, but old churches. Yeah. Just steps inside.
Well, and that was the sense I had when he came to Canada. We were able to book an old cathedral for him that was now a performing arts center. And I swear, when he started singing that cathedral smiled, it was like it had been waiting its whole 100 years, right, for him to walk in and sing inside.
Nice.
Now, so your whole family are followers of Guruji.
Yeah, they all appreciated it.
Yes, so I'm going to go back a bit, just because the story of your family and your sister to me is so profound. I would love it if you would share that with everyone.
I have two sisters, and one of them passed away and she was disabled. Probably talking about this sister.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's actually it's really a beautiful story, even before I met Guruji, because she had clear spiritual function in the family, and she literally prepared us to be with Guruji. So it's right. Guruji even said that. So I'll try to tell a story in a way that's not too long. I have to reword. If for some reason you guys don't understand my Brazilian English, I'm stuck in the words. So it was 11 years or 12 years after I was born, my mom suddenly became pregnant again. And that was crazy. She was over 40 and it's even dangerous. And my grandmother, who was a very strict communist, was visiting Cuba every year. And even like anti any kind of religion, and she was like a really mind communist person, studying a lot, like in very deep, like into arts, literature and everything. And she was literally calling my mom and making a terror and saying like, you are the owner of your body and you are too old and you don't need to have this kid, and you take this kid out and this and that, this is time enough. And she was really, really like pushing my mom to abort. And of course, because it was very old, my mom was herself thinking about like, what shall I do? Like, this is really the best for me. So she was in having that doubt. And I think it's something that is nice to be spoken about, because even nowadays it's something that happens in the mind of even so many women. Yeah, it's normal. Like most of the pregnancies are still unwished nowadays, and it's normal. It's just nature.
Yeah.
So my mom was like thinking about it. What shall I do? Shall I really take this baby? Because my mom was always a spiritual person, but also not religious. So she knew that there was a soul. She knew that it's more than one life. She knew God exists. But at the same time, she was not bounded to any church dogma or anything like that. So my mom did something that she didn't usually do. She literally stopped and prayed to God. She believed God existed, but she was not praying to him. And she prayed to God, give me a sign if I should or not remove the baby. And it was already after the 3 months. It was already the 5th month of pregnancy. And Paula, which was her name, she never moved in my mom's belly throughout the whole pregnancy.
Wow.
But one day after this prayer, she was moving. She was not even at 6 months. She was moving a lot. So that she called us, me and my other sister and my dad, to observe. And for many minutes, we could have the hand on the belly and see the baby moving, making a big party inside there. So that was the clear sign. Like, not, she didn't want to leave. But after that, the baby never moved again until it was born. She was born. And many exams were made and nothing suspicious was found. It was apparently just a healthy baby. But when she came out, she was not breathing properly. So I don't know how to translate all the issues that she was born with. Like, it's a mielomeningocele. It's like a open down in your spine, something open, so the liquid that flows through your spine flows out of your body. So it means that your whole spine and legs doesn't work properly, and affects also the growth of your head. So she was totally different, let's say it like this. She could not speak, she could not walk, she was laying down, but she clearly communicated basically with her right hand. She could like be very nice to you. She could also give you a slap with her right arm. And she would cry and smile. And I always say she has, like, after Guruji, the most beautiful smile I ever saw. So she was really like a ball of love, because she was a bit chunky and beautiful, and she was always smiling. And because of her, my parents were, at that time, they were divorcing. And she became the magnet of the family. Like, the family could not break. Because we all had to base our lives on taking care of her. So I was a teenager, my sister was a teenager, and we all like dreaming our lives and trying to do everything. And my parents going their own way. And then this appears in our lives, and we cannot live without each other now. We have, like, for example, at home was always one nurse and one of us. 2 people always with her, because she has a risk that she'll just pass away at any moment. And she lived 18 years, 19 years.
Oh, wow.
The doctor said she'll not live 6 months, she lives 18 years. And so we had to communicate with each other the whole time, so that somebody's always at home cleaning her and preparing her food. And we all like lived with this discipline in the service. Yeah. So that's what, and we all felt this strong love of serving her. And in Brazil, there's a big movement called Spiritism, which originated in France from Allan Kardec, where basically some people are mediums or clairvoyants, and they sense and they talk to spirits. And my mom started inviting spiritist people to come to our house to pray and to do things that they called spiritual surgery. So some spiritual entity makes us energetical surgery operation on sick people. And people come and pray, and you can see that things are real. You don't know who is really the spirit which is coming, but you can see the voice changes, the person changes, everything changes. And the nurses that stay overnight, very often they saw a white lady in the house. So there was a spirit in white that was quite often, let's say 2 times a year, somebody would relate that they saw this.
Yeah.
The spirit in the house, but it was a very light, nobody was ever afraid of this being, yeah, that would be seen in the house. And these mediums and clairvoyants, they always told us that Paula she was in her last incarnation before liberation, and she chose to be born like this because she had that little pride of being too independent and too free. So she chose to be born as completely dependent of everyone.
Isn't that interesting?
Just to learn this humility and be free. So that was basically her last incarnation, and she just wanted to learn that. And she chose to be born like that in a family that spiritually would be compatible to that kind of service. And when I met Guruji in 2011, and I told my mom, like, I met this incredible saint, and he's just like mind-blowing. And of course, she said, please go and ask him to bless your sister. So I brought a picture of Paula in the first darshan I went with Guruji. And I showed it to Guruji. And Guruji said exactly what the clairvoyants have said for all the years before. He said, wow, she's a very, very developed, advanced soul. You don't have to worry about her. And later on, Guruji said, you all guys think that you are serving her, but she's teaching you all to love unconditionally and to serve unconditionally. So in fact, she has come to serve you.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, when I came to study in Germany, it was a big drama for me myself, because I said, it's going to be one piece, one puzzle of the family structure left.
Yes.
But anyway, they said, please go. And my auntie came and started to have more, and others came and started to have more. So I was always in contact with them, but then I got my allowance to come to Germany. In 2018, she passed away. Quite suddenly. She was keep growing, and her body was different. And at a certain point, the body could not deal with the whole growth anymore, like the organs inside.
Yeah.
And she just had some natural complications. Because when somebody's like her, you cannot say the person is disabled. It's a very bad word. She's just different, you know?
Right.
And then at a certain point, the body could not cope with it. She had some complications, and from time to time, she would go to the hospital anyway. And then she went. That was then the last time. And Guruji told me, yes, go to Brazil and spend time with your family after this happened. So before this happened, actually, Guruji was 2 times in my mother's house. Every time Guruji goes to my city, the 2 times he went to my city, we offered him nice places close to the beach and everything, but he wanted to stay in that apartment of my mother. You guys don't believe how Guruji is a simple person. It's an apartment with 3 rooms and 1 kitchen in the 12th floor in the center of the city, where the sun shines in the afternoon and becomes super hot. Like the most basic furniture you can ever. We are really like a normal Brazilian middle-class family, you know? Like everything we buy in Brazil, we have to divide for 5 years. I mean, that's how we go. That's how we live there. We don't pay anything like cash. So that's... And in Brazil, Guruji always wanted to stay there with 2-3 people in each room. You know what I mean? In that tight place. And he always like really wanted to know I stay in your mom's place. And he always pays back, like when my mom comes to the ashram, he says, your mom can stay for free, because when I go there, she also allows me to stay for free. So, like she's a devotee, and he says that she allows me to stay for free. Like she told me she can stay in the ashram also when she comes. It's unbelievable how sweet Guruji can be, and simple and humble. So every time he goes there, he went there, he would sometimes vanish from our sight and go sneak into my sister's room. And he would just close his eyes, because she would not speak, and he would just close his eyes and speak and be with her. However, communicate with one hand on her head, on however, and he would always just be with her. And he would do it again and again. And like Guruji is not here, where he is, and you look a little bit, he's in the room with her. And
that must be the purest communication for him. Someone who's not going to interrupt him or...
There's no mind. There's no mind.
That's right.
Yeah, there's just the soul.
Yeah.
Going a bit before, back to 2012, before Guruji came actually to my mom's house. Sorry, it's how I have to find the date. The stories are not chronologically organized. It's like the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's all...
That's right.
Not from the beginning to the end. 2012, I met Guruji, and then Guruji had darshans in Brazil. So what I did, I took my holidays in Germany and I went to meet Guruji in Brazil, in the darshan Brazilian main capital city, Brasilia. And my mother said, okay, I'm gonna also go there and meet the Guruji. So it was in a natural reserve hotel, a really beautiful place, far from the city. Guruji actually played a prank on me. I had to tell the story also. I came in the afternoon to the place where Darshan would be before Darshan come to meet him. And we went to, so Guruji called us to talk, me and my mother. And we were out by a beautiful garden, nature garden with some trees, and it was sunny. And Guruji I was translating so that Guruji talks to my mom. And my mom was not thinking about herself at all. The first thing she thinks was about Paula. She never asked anything about herself. Everything she talked to Guruji was always about her daughter. And she asked Guruji, like, I'm never sure if I'm doing the best I can do for her. Like, am I doing enough? And while she says that, she starts crying. And Guruji, instead of his, like, so much love was pouring out of my mom, because when Guruji is around, then everything comes to the surface. There was so much love. And my mom started to cry, and Guruji's eyes also became wet, and there was some silence. Guruji didn't answer. There was just this seconds of silence of Guruji just feeling my mom's love while my mom cries and asks if she's doing everything perfect. And in that exact moment, a very light rain, very light, comfortable, fresh rain fall on us while the sun was shining. So it was so magical. And Guruji just made this moment happen. And he said, you are doing the best you can. You're doing everything all right. So don't worry about anything. And then we walked away. And Guruji come behind us again and said, wait. And then he makes a certain movement in his hands and manifests a little pendant of Lakshmi, silver pendant of Lakshmi. He literally manifests. He was wearing, like, for people who doubt Guruji, he was wearing like a short sleeves. And then he did like this, the poof, that pendant came out of his hands in front of us. And then he said, that's for your sister. So she was wearing that for the 18 years of her life. 6 months before she passed away, that thing just vanished.
Oh, wow.
And so that's basically, okay, we go back to the moment where she passed away, and then I was allowed to go back to Brazil and help my family in that moment. So we basically cremated her. That's what Guruji said. We did in a very Vaishnava way, like she was initiated Vaishnava devotee. We could put tulsi on her lips and
nice.
And on the eyes, like when a Vaishnava devotee passed away. Mm-hmm. Tulsi goes on the lips, on the eyes, you know? And you made some prayers, and I was literally, all the family was around there. Many of us didn't know me so close, and we were like, with my whole family, I was literally singing bhajans in the cemetery until we walked to the place where she was then cremated. And I was, during the cremation, I was with a guitar on a little stage singing bhajans to the other family members.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and with a little guitar. That touched, many family members wrote me. They were really touched by that. They love Guruji, but it's difficult to make the whole step to become a devotee. That's another level. Not everybody is really made for that.
But that kind of example is wonderful for them to see what your life path really means. Like, yeah.
You know what people don't understand, people in the world, they don't understand, it's that death is acceptable and it can be beautiful. And that's how let's say, we Vaishnava devotees can show the world our trust in God, and is how we deal with death.
Yes.
That's so important, you know, like how we deal with death, how we understand death, and how we handle the situation, and how it's so different among devotees. And people in the world don't understand. That breaks their mind. It breaks their mind in a good way. In a good way. Mm-hmm. have experienced this many times.
Okay.
So we brought her ashes to the sea, to the beach, and we took a little boat, went to a bit further in the beach, close to where she lived in Brazil. Like we lived in the coast. So we did some prayers, and with petals and flowers, we threw her ashes on the sea. And we came back home, and then we had the security camera in her room. Yeah, just for any case.
Right.
She needed to be like monitored. And what happened is that just my dad just took was checking the footage from before and whatever, and after, like, the camera doesn't move, the camera is fixed. You can only with your hand move the camera. There's no remote control or anything. It's an old camera that is stuck and you can move with your hand to a certain direction. So we open the footage, and the camera is literally, on the day that she was cremated, moving around the room. And the camera would show things that she would like. That can be scary. That could be like,
yeah.
It would stop on things that she liked, like little things that she would like to carry in her hand and stuff. And that happened one day, and we thought, weird, let's wait for the next day. And the next day, we spent the day outside and stuff, and we came home and checked the footage, and the same happened. The camera was literally moving around the room. So I talked to Guruji and said, Guruji, what is happening? Like, everybody says she's free, is she stuck to her house and to her room? Like, she's not a free soul, like she's bounded to this world. He said, no, not at all. She's just playing with you guys to show that she's around a little bit. She's totally free. She just wants to show affection, that she's around for 1, 2, 3 days, but from tomorrow on, she's gonna stop. And the other day, that's stopped. So that's an interesting experience. And then I always wanted to have this deep desire, which is not correct desire, but it was always there, that after that, I would have some sort of communication with her. Just because I felt so close to her and I love her so much. And I think beginning of last year, or maybe a little bit before, I had a dream with her. And the dream, she was in her room, but her bed was empty. In the room, she was actually in the wall as a picture. And in the picture, she looked like a saint. She was sitting with crossed legs, and she had a garland, and she had a blessing hand. But it was her face. So literally, it's like I was looking at a picture of a saint giving darshan, giving a blessing. And that was a dream. It's where it was the she's
her true Atma. Yeah.
Super free. She was a teacher for us. And Guruji said, closing the whole story, Guruji said, she prepared all of you to be devotees by serving and learning to love unconditionally. And literally, after every member of the family was initiated as a Vaishnava devotee, she knew her mission in this life was finished and then she could leave the body. So that's...
I love that. I just love that story.
When I tell the story, it's unbelievable for me how this all meets together, and how Guruji is perfectly aware of every little centimeter. When things happen and somebody passed away, or somebody had an accident, or somebody was born disabled, and we always, Guruji, why? I think like you are God, you can do anything. But he has a bigger plan that you're going to understand in the future. We always have to think we are not in the end of the movie yet. You know, the plot is still going on.
That's right. Wait for it.
Wait for it. You're going to be surprised.
That's right. So you said that Guruji played a trick on you in
yes.
Brasilia. Yeah.
Brasilia, yeah. So I came there, and my mom, and in that afternoon, Guruji said, I'm going to sing 2 bhajans. Can you help me in these bhajans? So I go, okay, Guruji, I'm going to do whatever I can. So Guruji take a little piece of paper, and he writes with his hands the lyrics of the 2 bhajans, and he practiced with me. I remember he was drinking a very beautiful fresh coconut water, and in a wooden table, and writing. The first one was Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hari, Jai Jai Ram, Krishna Hari. If you don't know this bhajan, it's on Guruji's YouTube channel on his Kirtan with the Master. And the other one was Vanamali Vasudeva Jaganmohana Radharamana Sashivadana Sarashi Janayana Jagatmohana Radharamana Jagatmohana Radharamana Jagatmohana Radharamana Jagatmohana Radharamana. So this second bhajan I could not pronounce and I could not memorize it. So he wrote the lyrics of both for me, and me, not very smart, I took this paper and I put inside of my mala bag, and I was doing a lot of japa. And the mala bag has two big holes, and one not so big, another one. So I was just not very smart, keeping that thing there because it's very holy to keep Guruji's handwriting in the mala bag, not anywhere else. And from time to time, with my paranoia, I would put my hand inside of the bag and feel if the paper was still there. Okay, the paper is still there. And then Guruji said, where are you staying? Well, we are in a hotel there in the middle of the city. No. This place here. You stay in my room, Guruji told me. I could stay in his room. And your mom stay with Daya. Daya is actually Swami Revati's mother.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Which was in the next room. And like, just come in the night and there's no problem. We have space in the room, it's extra bed anyway. And I said, really, Guruji? Okay, we run to the hotel. We cancel our stay, we have to pay something, we took our bags, and in hotel, I put my hand in the mala bag. Where's this paper? Paper is gone. I don't have these lyrics anymore. 2012 was this WhatsApp thing was not really there yet. The internet word is not so. Nowadays, I would remember the first two words and Google the bhajan, and most probably I would find the bhajan on the internet. But back in the days, it was not like that. I'm from another generation myself. I was born in 87, can you imagine? So we took this, so I got panic, I started to sweat, like cold sweat. and I got ready for the darshan, and I came, there was already darshan time with the bag and put the bag on the side. And the darshan started, was a small, sweet darshan. And Sushila was the Brazilian music coordinator, and there was not official a position of music coordinator in Bhakti-marga at all, but she was the person, let's say, the prominent musician in Brazil who would, in any case, be helping Guruji. She's piano music professor, this and that. But she could not really follow Guruji by ear. She's not used to play from here. So I took the harmonium for this moment, and Guruji look at me with a big smile and sing this both bhajans. First one, only Jai Jai Ram Krishna Hari, we went well. Second one, I could not chorus at all. So I was feeling so bad. It was really like, I cannot even describe how bad I was feeling. I thought Guruji would curse me and send me to another planet. But can you imagine his handwriting for me, and I lose the paper. And so when I come for darshan, I come shaking and say, Guruji, I'm so sorry, I lost the paper. He opens my eyes and said, no problem, why are you stressed? And that was it. But that's the thing, like that he made me lose this paper and feel this stress. Was the first time I had such a stress, I think, actually.
He probably dematerialized it.
It can be. In that trip, actually, I realized, like, I got the news. In that same day, I got the news that the baby that my ex-wife was expecting was a girl. And I remember before the darshan, I told Guruji, Guruji is a girl. I said, I knew. So that was the trick, the funny trick.
Well, it seems like he does that a lot with you. I noticed in one of the Waves of Love videos, when I think it was the last session that you had scheduled, and it was you and Guruji. There's just a few of you, and he kept changing the way he was singing.
Rhythm, yeah.
Yes. And I watched your face.
Yes. He sometimes in that day he was singing if there's anybody from India listening, there's this very famous bhajan, Abasom Padiya Mere Jivanaka. And it's a bhajan that Guruji's grandmother used to sing. So he was singing in the tune, in the melody of this bhajan. Shri Vittala Giridhare Para Brahmane Namaha Shri Vittala Giridhari Para Brahmande Namaha. But he would randomly elongate. So we could never predict when the phrase was to end, when the Mridanga should finish the phrase. So we never knew when to start chorusing, if we should start chorusing, how he's doing or how the original is, because he has these games. Sometimes he sings differently and he expects us to correct him. Sometimes he sings differently and he wants us to sing what he sings exactly. And he's always playing this game. Like our attention has to be 108% on him. Otherwise, yeah, it's really a very obvious game that he plays with people playing with him. Like if we lose attention for a second, he change one word and look at you and see if you catch the word. So he's constantly doing it. And I realized that's Shravana. It's not only for kids, it's a life lesson, because how often we don't listen to Guruji in life.
Right.
And I realized that the practice of listening him in the kirtan actually helps me in life. Of listening, like it all goes hand in hand. It's one thing. If I'm not able to pay attention there, I'm obviously not able to pay attention in general. When he tells me some little things and I maybe don't take it that serious because it sounds so random. Guruji is not always giving instructions like, look, disciple, I'm going to give you one instruction properly. He tells you and you got to catch. And if you are listening in that moment is the question.
Well, he's obviously got you musicians being trained at an even more intense level just because you've got that interaction with him.
And that's what I can see Guruji playing in all levels. Like he puts himself, he's infinitely beyond any one of us. But he puts himself one step further, each one. When you think you can reach, he's always a bit before and he pushes you high. And not only in Kirtan, like when we all could play only so, like, let's say, dumb, simple Kirtans, let's say, super simple, he would put himself singing a little bit less simple Kirtans. When we start doing complex Kirtans, and then he got a little bit more complex Kirtans. And it's the same way with the painting people, is the same in Vedanta, in philosophy, it's always the same. Like when all his devotees, we were really like kids, we cannot understand Vishishta Advaita for the Manujacharya. So he would give very simple satsangs, but a little bit more than we can understand and push us. And once he pushes us to study the Gita, to study Bhagavatam, to study Ramayana, to study Vedanta, and then he always put himself a little bit before, a little bit further, and pushes hard. And I see him really like so clearly doing that in all levels. How he positions himself and plays all the roles. It's incredible. Like Guruji is too much of the real deal. So that he doesn't even cares what you think about him. He's gonna do that game and make you grow.
Vittala